Hello everyone, welcome to another stream. Try and look at the camera because I've moved my laptop. So let me know if the volume is too high. Let me just turn that down a bit for myself. There we go. Today I've had a rough couple of weeks, so that's why streams and you'll see progress is updated and whatever. But I just wanted to do this last stream. Tell you what, let me try and move this camera so that I'm actually looking. Sorry, that's a bit shaky for you. Stuff in the way. There we go. So we've now at least got the camera in front of me. There we go. Right, so yeah, as I was saying, wanted to do this last stream to show the finished printer. Go over a couple of details. I've written myself a list that I want to go over. We'll have a little chat and we'll start a print. So that's sort of the plan. Anyone wants to ask a question, by all means do. Hopefully I'll see it on one of the screens. We'll see. So first of all, let's get all the formalities out of the way. Obviously, Fysetc were kind enough to send me the printer with no obligations. No money is exchanged hands. All opinions are on my own, etc., etc. I have tried to feed back some things that I found that personally think that if were altered or changed, that would make it better for you. So that was the whole point of me having a machine, was literally to do that. So we'll just give it a couple of minutes, see if anyone else arrives. I've got a few browser channels open, just so that I can sort of control things and do whatever. We'll put a tweet out. So we might get a few more people, hopefully. Yeah. So I won't watch it in that video, in that screen. But if I need to chat, I can. So hopefully everything works out. If anyone's got any suggestions on a model you want us to print, nothing too long, PLA just to start with, let me know. So let's go over to this camera. And what I want to do is sort of just, I'll move this round to face you first. So you should better see that. Yep. And my microphone cable has got mixed up. There we go. So to start with, I just want to zoom in a bit. There we go. So I'll put that. No, it's not going to make any difference, is it? You know what I'm saying? There we go. So I just want to sort of go over what you see here. Talk about what is included and what is not included, and what you can see here, because I've obviously added a few things as I've gone along, just to make it easier for me. So what's included? We have a lightweight aluminium or lightweight X-beam. So this is a beam that's had basically most of it removed, and it's a skeletal structure to have a lighter weight gantry. So that is included. This one piece CNC bed, which you might not be able to see, but you've hopefully seen the other live streams, that's included. But what is also, I think, quite valuable is the extrusions, the default extrusions that would have been included with another kit, or if you bought the frame separately, are also included in the kit. So if you don't want to use the one-piece bed or the lightweight X-beam, you don't have to. You can use the ones that are meant to be stock, and they are included. I thought that was a very good idea. Gives you the choice. The next thing that is included is, which you'll see better when I flip it around, but we've got the umbilical mod. So that's a PCB that goes on the back of the tool head and one at the back of the printer. So you then use a pre-made cable, or a cable that goes from here to the PCB, and then on the underside of the PCB are connectors that go to the control board. Just makes things a little bit neater, easier to do maintenance on. That's included. In terms of the wires, you get a almost complete set of wires, which are a fixed, or a length suitable for what you need, and crimped at both ends for the control board that's included, and obviously the PCB, the umbilical mod. I'll come back to why that's an almost complete set of wires in a second. So the kit comes with an 80mm high top hat, which you can see here, and obviously comes with all of the panels and fixings you need too. It also comes with the Voron V0 display, which is great, because now I'm used to, on my other Voron V0, a small display with no control over, it's just literally just display information. And I have found this really useful, actually, to have at the machine. I've obviously got one on the 2.4 next to it. I think on screens at the machine are useful to do small tasks that you might want to do. You want to load filament, whatever. I wouldn't use them to control the printer as a whole, to send prints, obviously to heat up and do all of that. I prefer the web interface, but I like that it's come with the screen. Now, things that are not included that you may see here, and things that I think should have been included. So there are, you might be able to see, you'll be able to see later, but I've got LED PCBs on either side of the machine. They are not included. They were purchased separately from Printy Please in the UK. It also doesn't come with the sequin LEDs that are in the tool head. Yeah, so it doesn't come with either of those. Do I think it should have come with any of those? I personally think maybe it should have come with LEDs for the tool head. It's part of the design for the mini stealth burner, so I think maybe they should have been included. Case LEDs, no. I think they're something that you can add if you want to, because you may want to go for the NeoPixel route, so you might want to add those instead. Now, when I said about the cables that were included, the umbilical mod PCB comes with a chamber thermistor on the top side of the board here to read your chamber temperature. However, Fysetc didn't supply a cable to connect this to the control board, and I actually think it was in their config on their GitHub. So it's a little bit odd that it hasn't come with it. It's something I've got to feed back. Now, for me to fix that, and if you've got this kit already and it hasn't come with the kit, that hasn't come with that cable, my suggestion is to not use a UART connection. Use a USB cable, which it comes with, a right angled cable, set up as a USB connection. That then gives you several spare wires of the correct length, and the kit comes with some connectors and crimps anyway. Doesn't come with a tool, but you might be able to make do. But it comes with the crimps you need, so you can crimp that cable yourself, and that would be my suggestion. If you are going to do the sequin LEDs, you can actually connect them to the X end stop port on the toolhead PCB. You can then, obviously, again with the UART cable, which you're going to reuse, you've got some extra cable there that you can use to go from the PCB, and I've connected mine to the BL Touch connector. So you've got the cable there. There's something that you can do if you've already bought this kit, but I'm going to feed that back, that perhaps a little rearrange of the cables that are included might be a better option. And then lastly, for things that are not included, it does not include a Pi. Now, whether that was something that was in the description of the kit you purchased, I'm not sure. The listings that I saw said it didn't come with a Pi. It didn't come with a Pi. I've put one in. So that's important to mention, because the control board is not one that has a built-in Pi or Pi alternative MCU. So it is something you will need. So let's just flip it around so we can have a closer look on what's on the back. So as you can obviously see from the last stream, I've actually finished the printer. I should have said that before. I've done all the panels, done the door, done the skirts. Yeah, I won't go into detail as to why that's all been done and why I didn't do it on a stream, but basically that's all done. So, and what I'm going to try and do is get you a better picture, because I'm not entirely happy with that you can't really see. Let me switch over to the other camera, and if I turn this all the way around and maybe have to go back this way, how much of that can you see? If we push this back a bit, to bring this forward a touch, yeah, so that will probably work better for us. So as you can see, we've got the Cheetah V3 board. That's the one that comes in the kit. I've had no problems with it. It works perfectly fine. What I would say is, and I think there has been some revisions, and for some reason this, why is this not working? Let me just have a look at this. No idea. Let me just well, let's just make do for now. Things are not where they should be for some reason. Thank you. Yes. So yeah, I didn't want to go with. It took me a long time just to decide on the colour I wanted to use. For the accent colour, I had the Prusament Galaxy Black ASA already, but I wanted another accent colour. I didn't want to do a colour that I've already done on another printer. I didn't want to do the traditional red and black for Vorons, which I've already done on the 2.4. So I went for a pink, a bright hot pink if you want to call it that, but I think it looks really good. So getting back to the cheater, I think the documentation has been a little bit more updated now, but there's an SD card included with the kit. Haven't even looked at it. I much prefer to go about the installation of firmware and setup on my own rather than use anything that comes with the board. So, well, obviously we set up the Pi ourselves because the kit doesn't come with one. So that's all set up. That was set up with mainsail. Works fine. The instructions for setting up the cheater were a little bit confusing because the documentation shows you connecting the UART cable and a USB cable, and the settings for the make menu config were not quite right. I'll come back to your comment in a second. So yeah, I have rewritten some documentation which is on my GitHub. I'm going to post that link now actually, because I want to make sure you've got the information available, and I'll put you straight into the repository as well, I think. So that is my GitHub link, and on there I've written a guide for flashing the cheater firmware using a USB connection, not the UART connection. As I said before, we can reuse the cable for something else. So that's the first thing. Obviously that GitHub has not currently got everything from my setup on there. It will be on there, and that will be the place to find it. So going back to Bry's question, I went with the OG red for my 0.2. Bit boring, but still don't turn out well. I honestly, the red and black looks brilliant, and if I didn't have this, I would have done it on this Voron. I think the red and black looks really good, and there's no reason to not go with it if you choose to. Yeah, and you can also sort of play on the red and black. You could do, so Printy Please in the UK has got a sparkle red ABS. I could have done that. I could have done two sparkles, red and black, would have looked really cool. But that's the great thing about Vorons, is that we can put whatever color combination we want. So my other Vorons is purple and orange. It's like completely different. So yeah. So that's the cheater board. Maybe have a look at my setup instructions if that's something you want to have a look at. So obviously you can see here that I've also got a clipper expander. Again, not included in the kit. I've installed it at this as I was going because it's easier for me, and it's something that I really like to use. I've got one in my other Voron for when we add in Nevermore or a filter for the LEDs. Works perfect, and I would certainly say it's worth getting. You can also see I've got a different cable management print. Again, not included, not listed. It's a community model, but it works really well. My only criticism of that is that it could be a little bit higher, because if you had watched the previous stream, so at the end of the previous stream I did the wiring. I was not happy with it at all. Didn't like it. Wasn't having a great stream anyway. So at the end of that stream, I ripped the entire lot out and started again. I've actually shifted the cable management this way towards the Pi a bit more, to give more room on the other side. Because it's lower, it has to go up before it can then plug in. Whereas if it was slightly higher, it would better come out and have more of a gentle angle, I think. But other than that, it works brilliantly. You've got a part that sticks to the back, which is then where all your cables go. It's got cable tie holes, and then obviously the front screws on, and you've got your clipper expander on there as well. Works really well. So other than that, all the wiring is stock wiring. Hello maple leaf makers. It's done, it is done. Oh, and I have got to mention handles. Maple Leaf Makers makes the handles. Let's drop a link in. Let me find this for you. I don't have handles on my other V0, but I will be putting these handles on. I think they work really well. So this is my collection on printables of various Voron related models, the handles being one of them. So that's something you should check out if you want to. So let's go back this way. No, I've gone the wrong way. Let's get this out of the way. Let's turn this all the way around so we're facing this camera. Let me just view what I'm doing. There we go. So hopefully my wire's going to reach. Let's turn it on. So we need something to print. So if you have any ideas of something that we can print, please post in the comment, in the chat, and we'll think about it. Just going to be a quick PLA print for the first print. So I'll open all this up because we're going to be printing PLA. Another thing I do actually like about the 2.0 is that we can take the door off. So much easier than trying to have the door open. Excellent, someone else was printing a Maple Leaf Makers model. So great that everyone, I mean, I can't model for anything, but it's so great that people are doing that and giving back to the community. And it's definitely, some of their stuff is really useful, and I will be printing other bits for it. So, and Maple Leaf Makers has subscribed to the channel. Thank you very much. I might have missed a notification. So yeah, we need. Let me bring up the interface. I'm just trying to think if there's anything I can particularly want to print. Obviously we could do a Voron cube or something like that, but I thought we'd do something a little bit different to start with. Could obviously do a benchy, don't really want to do a benchy. Yes, the rolls you get on AliExpress. Hope it works out. Yeah. The only problem with those LED strips is the adhesive is not always that good. So either use some more double-sided tape or find a better way to keep them in place. But other than that, there's nothing wrong with the LED strips. So I can control each one of the LED strips in here separately. I've wired them up to do 2 different control pins on the clipper expander. So if we want to have one side on or the other side on, twist Voron cube. Let's have a look. Let's go with it. Good enough suggestion. Useless but fun. That's the best kind of STL model, isn't it? So yeah, so each LED strip can be controlled separately. And then we also have obviously the sequin LEDs, which you can't really see very well, but they work. They're all wired in, like I say, to the X end stop port, and it seems to work, so why not go with it, you know? So I'm just slicing the Voron cube, just basically just some standard settings really. I will just change this, I think. Other than that, we'll go with that. Slice, export. Now there's one thing I did comment about the main sale interface, and that was uploading G-code. But it wasn't until someone said that you can just drag and drop files to it that I realised you could. So I think that was really good. So I'm just going to preheat the hot end and put some filament in. So I'll let that get that to preheat. Come to think of it, my diffuser mount with screws through the PCB itself. How are you solving that? Well, hacky of course. There are spots where the mount is filled in, and then I plan to use a drop of super glue to mount them in place. Glue the mount and then the housing. So I think the video is maybe behind what I'm doing, but hopefully you'll see things will be working and you'll see what I'm doing. So I'm just going to use some basic yellow PLA for this print with nothing special. So I'm just going to take the microphone off so I can make sure I don't get tangled up. So as you can see there, I did actually use the onboard LCD to load some filament. So you can see I was printing some red PLA before this. So we'll just put a couple of purges to make sure we get through. we go. And then I'm basically, hopefully, all ready to go. So I'm just going to literally press print. So as you can see, I've set up, so it's sensorless homing. I would definitely say that you should follow the Voron documentation with regards to initial setup. Is very important, because the Fysetc config doesn't really have the sensorless homing stuff set up as per Voron's instructions. So once you've built it, just go through the initial docs, just read through them, understand what they're saying, and go that way, rather than relying on the config that you've been given. That's my advice anyway. So we'll just let that heat up. So this is just going to be basically a 60-degree bed, 210-degree hot end. Hopefully the bed is clean and the squish is going to be okay. We'll just go with it. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. I try to answer comments after videos as well. Some people seem to want to not agree that you can have your own opinion, but that's another matter. Good advice. Last page of the manual should tell you to go there, but most people don't read that file once they finish the build. Exactly. So just to talk about another, basically I'm in a few different Discord servers. I'm an admin of a server, a moderator of a server. If I could look at the Voron initial docs on a copy and paste, I would, because it's the first thing that I tell people to do, and it's like they've not even done stepper buzz or stuff like that. It's really important. I definitely agree that there should be something in the manual that says now go here, a link, and just let people read the instructions, because I think it would save a hell of a lot of time personally, and I think they'd learn a lot from it. I'm very much of the opinion that you shouldn't be hand-fed stuff. There should be an element of you having to take responsibility, go and read some documents, look at pinouts, all that. But I do agree there should be documentation there for you from the manufacturer of the kit. Yeah, I mean, so I would say, so we're getting, it's not really a rant of mine, but if you're paying the price of an LDO kit, you should expect the config to be perfect. Now, motors going the wrong way, you can't account for that, because even two motors from exactly the same company may need to have the direction inverted. It's just the way they're wired and the way they're manufactured. But they should also still say, go and look at the Voron initial docs, because that's where you learn about stepper buzz, where you do your PID tuning, all of that. But yeah, if you're paying LDO prices, then I would expect the config to be 99% done, 95% done. The Fysetc one, yes, it works, but there are things that are included, like the chamber thermistor, which is not connected. And I just felt the firmware config, or the firmware flashing part, was also not so great, which is why I've done my own. But yeah, there's no reason why you shouldn't have to learn a little bit yourself, is my opinion. Others might disagree with that, and they're welcome to. But yeah, I've now had the cheaper, I would call them the budget kits. The Cybor, I've got the Formbot, which is my other V0, this one. Yeah, exactly. So LDO does link you to go and look at the docs, which is great. And that's not to say that the Fysetc documentation wasn't good. I was surprised to have things about safety, a wiring diagram with pictures, etc. But they do also, I should probably find that somewhere actually. I'm not sure where I put the bit of paper, but let's just make sure this goes down okay. Yeah, that looks okay. Yeah. See if I can lift the camera up a little bit so you can perhaps see the first layer. Is that too high? No, you can see that. There we go. So that's off and printing. Hopefully you can see that. They should resolve the hardware problems and then send you to the Voron documentation for the rest. Oh, hang on. LDO configs are great out of the box, and they have a lot of documentation of their own too. But I think people expect too much from them. It's still a DIY kit at the end of the day. Yes, exactly. I think Nero was the person to coin the phrase "a bomb in a box." You're essentially getting the parts to build a printer, and some manufacturers go a little bit further with their documentation than others. As you say, LDO particularly also have slightly modified files, etc., and they have all that documentation, so that is really good. So what I was saying, basically, I've got some of the budget kits. It would be nice to see what an LDO kit is like in comparison. My only fear would be that I'm okay with not having everything given to me on a plate. So I don't think I could justify the price over one of these kits, which does perfectly well, in my opinion. And I don't know why, but the music stopped. There we go. And it's still not playing. No idea what that one is. So yeah. That seems to be printing okay. I've never built a kit from another vendor before. I self-sourced Trident and V0, and everything else was from LDO. Yeah, I mean, my first Voron kit was the Formbot. And I got on perfectly okay with it, and that's going back now a couple of years. Apparently they're really good now. It's definitely, you see a lot of people recommend those kits over the LDO kit purely because the problem with 3D printing is that you can buy any printer, and if you just don't take to it, either it sits there and becomes a paperweight. Maybe the inclination is start the cheaper route and then see how you get on. But yeah, I'd like to try an LDO kit one day. We'll see if it ever happens. I think the next Voron I would like is a Trident. I really like my 2.4. This is now my second V0, and they work. They're brilliant. Like I I designed something very quickly, prototyped it 3 or 4 times in a day, because I had the V0. It was a small print. I could just whack on there, and it was just going to print for me. I knew it was going to work. But I think if I was to sort of say, I'm not trying to sell the kit by any means. Look at what other people are saying, make that decision for yourself. But it's definitely one to consider, I would say. I think there's a few now in this sort of price range, Formbot, Cyber, Fysetc, that are all sort of competing with each other, and that's great, because that will mean things will get even better for the maker. So yeah, any of those kits really are something to look at, and obviously this kit offers a few extras that those don't. They may do in the future, so it's give and take. The speed the V0 heats up is insane. Is that that's an LDO one, right? So that's their, what do they call it? It's not a silicon heat pad, is it? It's a poly something. Because it's like the thin heater. Like, I mean, I've got a Revo on my 2.4. Man, that heats up so quick. Printed a single cam lock yesterday, and by the time it was done, the chamber was at 50C. Polyamide, yeah. Obviously I've got the doors open, so we're not going to be able to read chamber temperature, but this one particularly over my other V0, because I've done something stupid with the back panel and put holes in it, I think I lose a lot of heat through that one. I did notice that this one, it gets a lot warmer inside. So yeah, it's a 100 watt heated bed exactly. This is a 70. Yeah, spec is 60 watt 24 volt silicon. This is a 70 watt heater in here. Probably should have mentioned that. The only problem with silicon beds is that silicon heaters is that the thermistor is on the bottom of the silicon, so you don't really get a true bed temperature. My other V0, the thermistor actually died in the silicon pad, so I ended up drilling a hole in the aluminium bed and putting a thermistor actually in the edge of the bed, so I get a much more realistic temperature. I've heard a lot of people say the 0.2 upgrade increased their chamber temps, and most of them suspect it has something to do with the top hat somehow. I guess like the 80mm one is slightly smaller, so that obviously means there's less space to heat up. I would say it's probably got more to do with, I'm not sure how the top hat would help, but I think generally the heat is just kept in a lot better. And like things like Nevermore or another filter also help, because it circulates the hot air around. But yeah, I've noticed this one gets warmer, but I've put it down to more the fact that I've put holes in my back panel of the other one. Curious, that seems a bit counterintuitive. What's that? Yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell why it would get warmer. Because, you know, the bed hasn't changed, the general the chamber hasn't changed much other than the top hat, but I'm trying to think, looking at the top hat of mine, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe so if I can grab my, so this is let's go on a different camera just for a second. So this is a top hat from a normal, from a V0.1, 3D printed. Yeah, I'm not sure why it would make it any different in terms of heating up. Maybe it's the extrusions themselves are becoming heated themselves, and therefore holding the heat in. I don't know. So I've deliberately, not deliberately, but the speed that I've currently got it at is conservative, shall we say. Shall we try speeding it up a bit? Let's go 150 times speed, that is. That's not 150 millimeters. So we're just trying to speed up a bit, see if there's any 200%. I mean, I don't particularly print fast anyway, because I'm not in a rush as such, so it doesn't really bother me that if it takes 40 minutes, an hour more than other people. %. Go a little bit faster for a little while, see if we can then go faster again. Yeah, there are definitely, the only thing I not 100% like about the 0.2 updates is the cam locks themselves. I think with the height of the screws in the top hat as suggested, they're not quite long enough. So I had them at that height and then tried to turn the cam locks and they wouldn't turn, and they've sort of bent the plastic a bit. I've then increased the length of the screws that push down into the top of the cam, and they then turned a lot easier. So I may reprint those. But generally, the V0 is a nice print to build. I didn't run mine at high speed yet, but I've got some extrusion at 140 millimeters. Need to play around a bit more with that. But I have the same mindset. It's done when it's done. Yeah. I mean, that's sort of why it's nice to have a smaller printer, the V0, and the bigger printer, the 2.4. If I need something reasonably small, reasonably quick, stick it on the V0. If I'm doing a whole plate of, like, doing a V0 printed parts, I'll stick it in the 2.4 and just let it do its thing. Like, I'm not it don't need to be done in stupidly quick time. Just let it sit there, do its thing. I can do other things. Yeah, so you're saying yours don't turn. Increase the length. Let me have a look. So this screw, where at the bottom here that goes into the cam lock, just undo that a little bit. I think the where's the little tool? I think I knocked that off earlier. Yeah. So I think the tool is 5mm, is it? Yeah, 5mm is what the suggested length is with the little jig tool thingy. Just take that out another mil. That's what I found. As soon as that was a little bit longer and the screw went in, and then it was just the shaft of the screw, it seemed to work a little better. Should we go a little bit faster? What's the actual print speed? I mean, it's a small print, so we're not sort of going that fast anyway. The perimeter should be printing at, actually, let's have a look at what Prusa Slicer says that if we would be approaching. Yeah, so we're only approaching. Yeah, we're not really going anywhere near our speed, so let's increase that a bit more. 300%. I don't even lock my doors at home. I don't think I'll need to lock Wi-Fi 0. You obviously don't live where a lot of the other people in the world live. But yeah, that's a good point. I mean, the only thing I would say, I did have the top, when I was printing an ABS print, I just closed the lid. Because the 80mm one is not very high, the Bowden 2 basically pushed the door open. So that's the only reason that you would want to maybe lock it when you're actually printing, so that the Bowden 2 doesn't push it open. But I think if you had a 100mm top hat, then it would just sit there. You wouldn't need to lock it. Just looking at print speed and see what we're doing. So we're touching 100mm a second on some parts, but obviously it's only a small print, so yeah, I think 100mm top hat is the way to go. And because this kit come with basically extra extrusions, because we got a lightweight X-beam and the full CNC bed, I may well make my top hat 100mm. Hey Richard, what are you crying for, boy? I do have to, yeah, 100mm, I mean, yeah, so you're not going to notice, you're not going to worry about it. But the 80mm one, it basically the Bowden 2 rubs on the top. Even the umbilical cable rubs on the top. Richard, I haven't been on the Fiberboard Discord server for a while. I've just taken a break, to be honest. I've had, man. So next to me, I've got my laser cutter. This is going completely off topic, but I've started to try and make some of my own stuff. I'm not going to show you what they are. It's random stuff that I'm making to try and sell. Start of July, I've got an event, an in-person event I'm supposed to be going to. yesterday my laser cutter decided to basically scare me half to death. Something has gone wrong with it. I don't know if it's the power supply for the laser tube or what, but it like was making like lightning noises, and I turned that off so quick. I'm not even gonna think about touching it again. It's old anyway, so it did need either updating or replacing, but it could not have come at the worst time, to be honest. So yeah, situation is at the moment I'm looking for a new laser cutter. Going to bump the temp up a bit, and then we'll go for another speed increase in a second. Yeah, so yeah, that's the situation basically. My laser cutter's trying to kill me at the wrong time for me. Taking a break from just online things really. Well, I was doing that purposely to try and do some of my own making, which has not really worked out perfectly, but just trying to straighten this up a bit. That'll do. So, has anyone got any questions about anything or any topic we want to talk about? We'll just say you'll notice that the Heighten has got a blue sock on. That's an E3D V6 sock. The reason that's on there is because the horrible brown coloured one that came with it, I refused to put on that printer. So it's currently got a blue one on. So I'm maybe going to get a pink one. How have I found the 0.2 in general? The build was actually really easy. I found I liked. I think the worst part of my other V0 was the bed assembly and getting everything lined up and running smoothly. But I felt the one-piece bed made the whole assembly of that a lot easier. So I thought that was really good. I would say the config definitely needs the Fysetc one needs a little bit of work. I've sort of grabbed pieces from other sources and made my own, which will be on my GitHub later today probably. So like getting the sensors homing to work better by including the Voron documentation works a lot better in my eyes. I see if you have the tool LEDs, they are also on my to-do list. Got all the parts this week. What wire gauge did you use? Right, good question. So the wire that's used in this one is incredibly thin, but because I've got some spare LEDs, I bought some FEP wire, and I believe, let me see if I can read this. This is, I think this is 26 AWG. I'm just going to reference the eBay listing so that I can tell you exactly the right information. But this is real nice thin FEP wire. This is thicker than the stuff that's I used for that. Let me have a look. Yeah, 26 AWG black is what this one is. Yeah, but what's on that is even thinner. It's like, what do they call it? Basically like PCB patch wire, I guess is what it's called. It's a really thin wire, but it does the job. And then obviously I've got the two sets of wire going in, so two wires into one terminal, one crimp, and they're held quite securely. So I'm okay with the thickness of the wire. I'll have to see how that thickness does. But yeah. What 26, I tried 28 and couldn't get it through. The shell was too thick. I've put everything in a box. Hold on a sec. So you would have seen actually I haven't currently got the back panel on this printer. I'm not sure if I'm going to put it on there. So I just took that down, if you saw that a second ago. Not on this one. Not in that one. I'm trying to think where I've got an extra stealth burner tool head. I was just having a look to see if I could find it to put some wire through. The reason I went with that thickness wire is because on the no, that's not the right one. Where did I put those printed parts? In this box? Yeah, they're in here. I went now with 30. It's really thin, but the LED only pull 5mm out, so it should be fine. I most likely crimp 124 and then solder the 230 onto that. Where was I? Oh yeah. I'm trying to think what website it was now. But a website that I saw selling LEDs suggested this gauge wire. So that's what I bought. Let me cut a bit of this and then we can try it doubled up. I mean, that is a good point actually, that these are obviously going to be two at this gauge might be a struggle actually. You're right, so that is quite a small hole. It is possible to get them through though. So I have managed to get them to go through. Obviously they're the wrong way around, but you get what I'm saying. But they are quite you'd have to take them that way, and then I can see how it would be a bit of a struggle to do, but I think it is possible to do. I think it is possible. plan on doing next with this V0? Any mods? Probably not. I'll probably put a filter in, because it will mainly be printing ABS, I suspect. Haven't decided which filter to go with. I believe Maple Leaf Makers makes one, and he's just literally mentioned that. So obviously we've got LEDs in there. What else could I do? I think I'm probably going to run it as is for a while. So I probably should have mentioned I've done input shaping and I've done pressure advance. I've done all that already. URBI is a game changer. What is URBI? URBI. My favourite thing I've done. Is that what your filter's called? It's on printables, yeah. I'm going to be cheeky and have a look at printables while I'm streaming. I think I did actually. I saw someone else or someone on the Voron Discord in the build. Oh, the rear Bowden inlet. I get you. Yes, that. Yeah. It reworks the Bowden tube part much smoother. Yeah, that is. So the Bowden tube that's in here now is some of that like 4.3 stuff, which is like a right pain to try and get through anywhere because it just likes to kink. The bit I had a normal sized Bowden tube in here the other day, and it was struggling to go smoothly off the spool holder. You can actually just see in the background on, let me see if I can point to it, up there, you can see on the top of my 2.4 it's got a top inlet. I'm considering putting that in the top of the top hat, to be honest. So we're now at 400% speed from what I sliced it, so it's not, obviously, that works I guess too. The only problem with that is obviously if I'm printing PLA, which I probably won't on this, it would be a little bit more of a pain. I had slightly considered trying to make a modification that uses your idea to add a Bowden inlet to the existing panel that you'd have to laser cut a hole out of. Obviously my laser cutter is now broke, so I can't do that. And the only reason I would do that is because I like the matte finish of the panels, and I didn't really want a printed panel in that place. But that idea is really good, and I think I definitely want to reroute the Bowden tube. I'm just going to see if I can gotta play around with this. Yeah, the matte black looks really nice. Actually, I did forget to say something in my at the start of the stream where I'd written my notes. So I wanted to talk about like the pros and cons of this kit. Oh, Steve Builds has subscribed, and so has Nuno. Nice to meet you. Nice for you to join me. One of the panel, the bottom panel, the panel that goes on the very bottom, and is held in with the feet. The Z stepper motor, I don't know if it's slightly too fat. Oh yeah, sorry, I put that on because, yeah, I normally don't have that on. Sorry, Steve. The Z stepper basically very slightly pushes the bottom panel. Now I don't know if that's because the stepper is slightly too fat. That was something I completely forgot that I was gonna talk about that. I might as well go through my pros and cons. I'll start with the cons. Another slight con was that the panels all felt ever so slightly too big. And when I say ever so slightly, I'm talking like 0.5 millimeter to 1 millimeter. So that when you were trying to screw the clips on, it was sort of digging into the side of the panel, as opposed to the channel being clear to go straight into the nut. Yeah, I certainly don't think it's a big issue to try and lower that bottom panel, for sure. So looks like we've got a few issues with the overhangs on the cube. I put that down to basically the cooling on the mini stealth burner, and probably the fans, to be honest. Some of the good things about this kit though, which are worth pointing out, I think, are the little extras it comes with, and the little things that you might have added later on, but you can get them straight away. So the umbilical mod I think is really good. The lightweight X-beam, the CNC bed, and of course a big pro for the kit is the price. Like I say, it's one of the budget kits, and there are a few of them, so they're worth checking out, all of them, just to get your own comparisons. But that is a pro, in my opinion, is the price of the kit. On the other side of that, of course, a con would be, because this kit doesn't come with a Pi, and the control board is not one that's got that functionality built in, you've got to factor that cost in as well. Now the Pis hopefully are starting to come back into a bit more circulation, so that's something we can hopefully now buy quite easily. But that's definitely something that needs to be looked at when you're pricing up the kit. I've obviously talked about the top hat only being 80mm. I'd prefer that was 100. It doesn't prevent the printer from working in any way at all. It's more of having that slightly little bit more of a clearance between the Bowden tube, so that you haven't got to have such a steep curve. But of course, if you use a mod, Maple Leaf Maker's mod, to reroute that Bowden tube, the 80mm hat might be okay. And I guess the other big con for the kit is the hot end. I think is it the Tornado? Basically a V6 Dragonfly clone type thing. Only me putting some hours through will I have an opinion of that, but maybe it would be nice to have another hot end. But obviously Fysetc aren't going to put in, not Fysetc, Fysetc aren't going to put in another company's hot end into their kit. So, you know, still ramping up production in Pi should be normal in a couple of months. Yeah, but they're definitely been available to buy, particularly here in the UK, over the last couple of weeks, a lot easier. But it's definitely, it's not ideal for sure. So if anyone's wondering, I'm just trying to thread this wire that I've got into the, to see if I've got wire that's slightly too thick. It does work, but it's certainly not easy. And I think if this was attached to a sequin LED, which on themselves are quite delicate, it would be a little bit more of a struggle. But it is possible to do. And it's done. Trying to get this cable out. There we go. But they do go into it is possible to get them to go in. That's 26 gauge wire, so you'd have them come out where the sequin is. Obviously the sequin would be right there, and then they've gone through both holes and then would come out the top. But yeah, I would say that's the absolute limit on wire thickness for that particular application. So let's grab this and have a look. So I think ramping up the speed has had a little effect. We've got a little layer shift at the top. Probably better off putting you on main camera. And then I will get this in the right place. We've got that layer shift at the top there. The top layer is a little bit thin. There's a few gaps. But it's not awful. And we've got a bit of an issue there with the overhang. This is a twisted Voron cube, by the way, which is why it's twisted. Let's try and put this light on. Yeah, PLA. Just wanted to do yeah, it's just the sequin LEDs. Had I not increased the speed, I think this would have been perfectly adequate. The bottom part was actually really nice. Overhang didn't print very well. Obviously it's PLA, so the bottom was obviously perfectly fine. The overhang was, the bridging was okay. Yeah, it's okay. I would say it's literally okay. I wouldn't say it's brilliant. We can't really. The pity this, we don't have like something that tells us the overall speed that we ended up going at, if that makes sense. Have a look at, so we basically did it in 40, the print time was 41 minutes. The slicer said that it was going to be an hour, but obviously we increased the speed to 400% just because. But yeah, I think if I'd have left it at my typical printing speed, then it would have been absolutely fine. And actually the middle part of the print was also pretty fine at like 200%, 300%. There's only when we went to 400, 450 that we got, and it obviously got that little layer shift. But other than that, it looks okay to me. Again, PLA, we'll have to do some, I'll leave that light on, get some ABS prints through it. I did do, I'm not sure where it is, I did do another, I did a normal Voron cube as well in ABS, and that was fine. So yeah, more than capable little printer. Yeah, pretty nice. Anyone got any questions? Either about the Fysetc V0.2 or anything else? Like I say, I will get my, what is next? Trident next. I would like a trident, because you've got to catch them all, obviously. So there are a couple of other things that I want to do in terms of projects and live streams. Obviously we want, so I did do a poll on Twitter. I think I did it on community page as well. I'm not entirely sure, I can't remember. But it was to see what people wanted to see next on stream. I'm just trying to find that so I can give you the results. But it was pretty much, I believe, to do the can installation on the Voron 2.4. Yeah, 78% wanted to see the can installation on the 2.4. So that will be happening. As I said when I spoke about that, doing the actual installation, actually, doing the physical install is something I can do on camera, is fine. I would like to probably get my head around the config and the software setup off camera first, to sort of see how it works and what I've got to do, anything like that. But that is something we can do on a stream. Probably not, I probably now won't do next week, but maybe the week after. But another thing I would really like to do, and I think people would find interesting, is that I've got a MakerBot Thingomatic, the old wooden printer that has the conveyor. Now, it's a conveyor belt, it's not a belt printer. You can't, not Infinite Z. It prints, then it would move the belt along to sort of knock it off. So it's continuous printing. I thought about perhaps bringing that like up to date hardware wise would be quite a cool project, because it is so loud, it's unbelievable. And maybe that's something like, if I started doing chill out random streams, there's something we can set up as is, so you can really hear what it's like, because it is really loud. The problem with it is also, as well as being incredibly loud, is software wise, I think it's got Sailfish firmware, and there's not many slicers that actually work well with that. So just to bring it all up to date would be a really good thing, I think. Todd says tap. I'm not sure if tap is something, the way, an area I really want to go into. I don't really have an issue with my inductive sensor at the moment, so I'm happy to keep with that. And yeah, it's definitely a possibility, but it's not a planned modification, put it like that. I also like the idea of maybe PCB clicky rather than an inductive sensor. Richard says he'll bring me a CNC tap from China. Well, yeah, I mean, tempting. Yeah, tap seems a good idea. So, Maple Leaf Makers, you think? I never understand. I get confused with the way that's written. So, do you think tap is better than clicky? Is that what that means? Like tap, or is it all the other way around? Tap is literally, obviously, is very simple. It's literally, obviously, using the whole carriage as the mechanism. Yes, tap is greater than clicky. Yeah. What about there's a version of tap that uses a micro switch rather than the optical sensor. What's your opinion on that? Or do you think go optical sensor? Clicky is fine, but I'm a software guy and I think clicky is too damn complicated to set up. Yeah, yeah, that is something I've sort of noted, that I've seen that the setup and yeah, don't you have to do something about ignoring the first probe as well or something? So all these bits of information I do take notice of, but whether I actually do anything about it. I used the mechanical switch on tap during the early betas. It worked fine, but optical was better and should last longer. Okay. Well, maybe that is something that can go on the list of upgrades and projects. But yeah, so CAN will probably be the next thing on the 2.4 for sure. I would really like to do the Thingomatic. I think it would just be so cool to bring that back to life in modern hardware. What else did I put on my list? Yeah, I was going to rebuild my other Voron V0. What I actually thought I would do is, so this Voron is Sprucement Galaxy Black and Pink accents. I thought about doing the flip of that and doing pink and then Galaxy Black accents. So I have two basically identical but yin and yang. Thought it might be cool. Other projects, obviously a lot of the time at the moment is going to be set up with trying to get this get a laser cutter sorted out. You can get a pink frame. Nah, that's too far. Pink printed parts on a black frame. Yeah. Once, hopefully, I've got to decide whether I'm going to try and repair this laser cutter, which I'm a little bit apprehensive about doing, because you could waste money trying to get parts to fix it when you could just get another one. What I would really like to do is some more varied content. So do some CAD design to do laser cutting. The colour swap is a cool idea. Yeah, I thought it would be quite cool. So I'd rebuild the V0.1 as a 0.2. So they'd both be 0.2s, but one would be one colour, one would be other. You're going to steal it. Go for it. And that, obviously, my other V0 has got Kiriyami bed, and it's got loads of other mods already. So it's basically going to be, they're going to be very similar printers in that regard. But yeah, had we not really speeded this up, actually, and we didn't have this layer shift at the top, it would actually be quite a nice quality cube. And I think doing it in ABS as well would get rid of that problem with the overhangs. So maybe put a Dragon Burner and 4010 fans in the Zero. So the other Zero has got an LGX light, and then I think that's still the stock fan setup though. I did print another part. I did print another tool head for that, but I'm not sure what that is. There was someone posted, sit up a bit because my face goes off frame, a link to a company that did loads of different colour frames, like some really out there. There's a watermelon green, looked glittery green, looked bloody awesome. I'm not overly fussed about different colour frames. I prefer to have the colour more of a subtle element of the printer. Yeah, I'm not sure who it was, to be honest, and I probably haven't like put that information anywhere that I'd be able to find it again. Actually, it was on Twitter, but I probably will not be able to find it. But that looked really good, so Fabrico do, I think, yeah. Need to get a few to get some more UK shops going. Yeah, so you get yours from the websites. I think if there's anything else I want to say finally about the kit. No, I think I've pretty much said, for me, the pros and the cons of the kit. I'm gonna do like a final sort of writing message to Fysetc about things that I think could be slightly improved. But what I think you've got to remember is this price point of a kit. You know, you can't expect to have all of the things included that you maybe want. So for it not to have a pie is fine. I'm not sure I'm a massive fan of the integrated boards. I just think there's more to go wrong. So it would be nice to have the option to add your own pie or pie alternative. I prefer black or grey frames too, just for the extra freedom you have choosing colours. Yeah, exactly. If you know exactly what colours you want, and that's going to stay like that for the entire time, a coloured frame can work really well. But for example, because I want to change the colour of my current 0.1, if I had a coloured frame, that would limit me. So yeah, I can see what you're saying. Todd says the cheetah board seems okay. Yeah, it seems to be working perfectly fine. Actually, it's got some nice features to it. I did write those down somewhere in a comment I made somewhere. BL Touch, Pro port, 2 separate ports, CAN port, 3 thermistors, 3 controllable voltage selectable fans, various screen connectors. If you want to connect via UART for your Pi connection, you can do that. It's got a dedicated port for that. It's got voltage connectors if you want to use those. So it's a very featured board for sure. And adding a Pi is absolutely fine. So yeah, I know the RGB port. Most important thing. Currently, I haven't got any RGB LEDs in the printer apart from the one on the display. For extra XLs, yeah, LEDs make it go. RGBs make it go faster. So yeah, I think if I'd written down anything, let me just have a look on the feedback. So I will just mention this Discord server actually, the DIY 3D printer kit Discord server. There's a link in the description. It's really good server because it gives you people's opinions of loads of different kits, like from loads of different manufacturers, so you can really see what people who have got the kit, who have bought the kit, have built the kit, used it, are saying about them. So I've got, and it's really good because everyone has their own channel, so you can really go into as much detail as you want on the kit that you've bought. So I think that's really good. So the cheetah board is the same size as the E3 Mini, so you can use any mounts that are already existing. 3 volt, as I said, voltage selectable fans, thermistor inputs, Pi power, probe, neopixels, built-in CAN. Yeah, I think it's a really good. I'm just going to sneeze, so I'm just going to take this microphone away a second. I just could mute it when I sneeze. It's building up. So yeah, very good Discord server. The link in the description. You should probably join that if that's something you want to do some research on the various kits that are available. And I might be jinxing it, but I'm going to touch wood. No problems with the internet and streaming today. I think there's less people in the house, so I think I'm probably the only one using the internet at the moment, which probably helps, but it's been perfectly fine, so it's really a weird one. But yeah, good stream. I think we're done. I think, unless there's any other questions, I'm really happy with the kit overall, and I think now's really the time for me to put some hours into the kit, print hours, so that I can see how things last and stuff like that. Todd says the Fly Gemini board and the Cyborg kit that seems limited with screen RGB. So you can connect RGB to that board. I've got one in the other kit, in my other V0. But this is exactly where Clipper Expander comes in. Absolutely love that mod, that PCB, because it gives you more than just, so it gives you neopixels, it gives you 4 controllable MOSFETs, thermistors. So those MOSFETs can be used for fans, can be used for 24 volt LEDs, all just really good. Steve Bills, looks good. Glad it was up early enough to catch that latest part of your stream. Thanks for coming along, Steve. I know you mentioned it on your stream, the time I stream. It's really difficult, isn't it, to find a time where you're going to get as many people to view it that works for you. This time works for me, so that I can then watch your stream later. So, and that's really why I streamed at this time. But I may need to look at, this works for me also allows me to sort of get used to streaming and build up the confidence of doing it. Because I don't obviously I'd like to have loads of people watching and we can have a conversation and everything, but also when things go wrong, sort of a little bit disappointing that you've let people down. So I'm sort of gradually building that confidence up. But yeah, but I'm getting there. Clipper Expander so Clipper Expander, if you let me just very quickly. So that PCB there, Todd, is the Clipper Expander. That one in the middle. So that basically, Clipper sees that as an extra MCU, and it gives you those features I told you, and you can control it from all within Clipper. When things go wrong, working through it is often the best content. True. I meant more my setup rather than sort of, but I know, I get what you're saying. I probably would I like to sort of come into it prepared, I guess. So yeah, so I think we're going to end it there today. Thank you everyone for coming along. As I said, questions, if you need to ask them in the comments below and I'll try and get back to you. Check those links out that are in the description for my GitHub and the DIY 3D printer Discord server, because I think it's a really good resource for finding that information out about the kits. And I will see you on another stream doing another thing, probably CAN on the 2.4. When that will be, I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, that will be then. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you another time. Thank you.